Hello, hello. We are live. I'm going to do a slightly different stream today. We are going to be exploring ChatGPT. I think it's very interesting. I think AI has been on this level for a little while. I think it's just becoming more accessible. And I think we're going to continue to see it evolve. But for this stream, I want to explore what it can do a bit, right? I want to, I guess, like compartmentalize. I want to give it tasks that junior developers will most likely need to do. And I want to try to test it in ways to see if it actually can replace some responsibilities from junior developers. And then maybe even like, I want to see if here's the thing. I think it'd be incredibly interesting if it could scan an entire repository, spot bugs, figure out like in a very low cost way, be able to, I don't know, just spin up a server and essentially take over and create entire features based on conventions that exist and be able to kind of just like discover patterns within the code base and deliver features that are consistent with patterns that other developers on the team use. That's actually like a big thing. That's a really big thing that you're going to be doing as a junior developer, is you are going to be learning the conventions and the reasons why apps are organized in a certain way, data flows in a certain way. And if ChatGPT can do that, that's really interesting. So we're going to be exploring this a bit. I don't think we're going to be able to explore that last point, honestly. But yeah, we're going to dive into it. Pasmo, what's up? How you doing? So before we get started, we're going to go ahead and bring on some music. Let's see. Probably just this playlist. I like this playlist. Okay. There we go. All right, let's toss this in Discord and we will be good to go. Probably turn this down a bit though, right? Relax volume. I'm starting my CS degree next year and I'm self-learning right now. I'm so overwhelmed with ChatGPT. It's very scary. I have a suspicion what my opinion is going to be. But we're gonna kind of test that opinion. So I'll give you my honest opinion towards the end. All right. So we are live on YouTube. Today, I'm going to explore ChatGPT, AI chatbot, writes code as well. Let's see. As well, and my honest opinion on where how it'll affect the developer market. All right, there we go. Publish, confirm, and we are good to go. Go ahead and get my other mouse. Then we're good to go. Okay. I saw your video. With App Academy grads, but I just want to ask if you would or wouldn't recommend it. I'm currently in the application phase. I do not recommend any specific coding boot camps or programs. That is the free one. One person gets to ignore the rules and avoids the timeout. You used up that one. Now anyone else that asks, we gotta ban them. Make sure you read the rules when you come in here. All right, I think we're good to go. So before we start, let's just toss out a few commands and see what this thing can do. And then I want to kind of sum up some things that I think may be able to be solved through ChatGPT. And then we'll go ahead and test it a bit more. So, this ChatGPT can write code, right? So, I know it can create a lot of things, not just code, stories. But we're gonna go ahead and say create a hamburger navigation with HTML and CSS. The links will be as follows. Okay, cool. So link 1, home directs to / link to podcast. Podcast directs to podcast. Ooh, got a hair in my eye. Link 3. Let's see, contact. Contact actually, let's see. The text for the first link is home. The text for the second link is podcast. The text for the third link is contact. It directs to it. I don't know if directs is the right word. Probably not. It actually, let's try to throw it off. Directs to a mail to link with the email address don@developer.tv. Okay. The hamburger menu should have a dark theme with great contrast for the... Actually, let's just start off with this, right? I like it. What's up, JJ? All right. You can use the following code. Okay. Declares a pointer. We're probably gonna do like why am I blanking on a website? What's a good website just to toss in HTML and CSS? This code creates a hamburger button that toggles the visibility of the navigation menu when it is clicked. The hamburger button uses the CSS before and after pseudo elements to create the lines that make up the hamburger. Oh, gotcha. So that's what the before and after. The lines are rotated and animated using CSS animations when the menu is open. Then navigation links are styled using CSS and the... Okay, what the... Hello? Okay, that's buggy. All right, let's go ahead. What's a good website to use? There's literally a website I used to use all the time. I don't remember what it was. Good. JJ, I think you got to give it realistic commands. And you got to be more specific. Like, even if you tell like a junior developer, create a newsfeed, okay, well, you got to give me more specifics. Think of it like you're literally talking to a person. Let's see. What, great site to host HTML and CSS playground. It does need details, yes. Yeah, CodePen's actually good. We'll use CodePen. We have to... You know what we can do? We can actually just do this. Let's just create a new project. Do I have VS Code open? I do not. VS Code. Let's create a new project. Let's see. Projects. One sec. Let me set this up. Test. All right. Index.html. Copy. Hat. And all right, let's bring this over. Here's our index file. What's up, Giga Chad? All right, let's bring this over. All right. Like it. All right. There is a copy code. Nice. Cool. We have our HTML. Refresh. The fuck is that? Was that? There's no way that was all the code. There's no way. It highlighted this as well. What? Copy code. No, that should have been on the clipboard. Yeah, it didn't copy the rest of that. Refresh. Okay, that's kind of messed up. Span. Div hamburger. Nav. Let's go. Okay. So that's what did it use? Oh, so it literally did like 2 thick lines. Oh, that's the. Okay, so we have to specify it. Let's go ahead and change that. We can say like create the same hamburger. Create the same hamburger menu. Or no, the icon for the hamburger menu should be 3 lines. We should say 3 thin lines, right? And so it has the context of your previous one, so we just essentially tell them to change it. Stinking. Do we break it already? Hello? What the fuck? Okay. I don't know if it's getting us. Yeah, okay. Let's try it again. Okay. That was weird. Did I have like a weird connection? Spam margin top. So is it just doing the same thing? Hold on. It might be trying the old command that actually worked. Block, none, block. So you can tell, like, it doesn't necessarily come up with like a beautiful design. Like you can't just tell or tell it to build you something, right? And it just builds this beautiful website right in front of you. I've noticed that even when I was watching other YouTubers create this, this is going to be the same thing, right? So I think it just, oh, it did. Okay, so it gave 3 lines. For the hamburger menu, the lines should all be thin and the same width. So essentially it might mean like height, and maybe let's see if it can interpret that. Don't ruin my stream. I feel like it's getting like a surge of traffic. This is not the time to do it. You need to go faster. Oh, come on. All right, let's try something else. I don't know what's taking so long. Okay, first test failed. Developers win. Developers 1, AI 0. Did break. Is that free to play with? Yeah, it's free to play with. You gotta sign up for an account with OpenAI, but it's free. Okay, so here, let's give it some code, actually. Let's go ahead and give it some code, some basic code, and, or no, you know what? This is an interesting one. Create an Express.js app. Well, let's say, yeah, create an Express.js app that has auth routes login. And let's see, login and sign up. It should use, I'm like giving it hard tests initially. It should use session, it should use a session-based login. Create a Node.js app that uses Express.js. It has routes, login, and sign up. It should use a session-based login. It should also use Passport.js for its authentication. Let's see if we can do this. Make sure you have our, okay, npm init, new file app. Oh, wow, okay. Right from the beginning. So here are the authentication routes. Express session chose a very common one. That's interesting. I'm just gonna read through this. Require expression, your secret key, resave, false, save uninitialized. True. So it's basically recommending the default values. It probably looked at the documentation to use Passport.js for authentication. We use Passport local. We didn't specify any social authentication. That's good. Use a new local strategy. You can now add code to. Use stopped at step 14. Please keep going. Okay, I think we're gonna go YOLO and shut off our VPN. I think our VPN is screwing it up. I'm worried about that. This VPN. Maybe it's like throttling my request because of the VPN. I've seen some videos with this, pretty incredible what GPT can do. It really is. I want to try it on a project I'm building for fun. This is crazy. It looks like it cut off the token limit. That's what it seems like. Yeah, mister. So essentially, I can already tell you right now, I'm looking at the pricing. Chances are, like, businesses are going to be able to afford it. For personal use, not so much. I think there are going to be kind of like, okay. I think companies might potentially, I'm just going to give a predictor because I played around with this a bit and we're getting limited. I'm going to continue to try to test this. But this, first of all, will this replace developer jobs? Most likely. Just like sites like Squarespace replace developer jobs, right? What that does, it ups the bar of what a developer should be capable of, right? And I definitely see this not replacing any like mid-level, senior level developers, but like, you know, for example, just like sites like Squarespace and a lot of CMSs, they gave like departments like marketing the opportunity to create full-fledged websites, full-fledged e-commerce websites without a developer diving into it, right? And all they had to do was learn a little bit of JavaScript, CSS if they wanted to create like just custom styles or like custom little scripts or, you know, integrate things in a way that just worked for them. That, and there's a lot of plug and play with a lot of add-ons. So like this has already been happening. A lot of these systems that have been built, they've already replaced some developer jobs. That's the truth. Yet we still see tons of developer jobs. And I suspect that's what's going to happen with this as well. I think it's going to, it'll up the bar a little bit for developers, right? But a lot of what it's creating right now is just templates. That's all we're testing. We just kind of want a starter template, build this up for us so we could just use it. And then we're probably going to need to manipulate the code a little bit for our use case. Yeah. Right now, we're only having it test things by creating a template. So what we can do, maybe we can give it some code, see if it can debug that code. It would be very interesting. It'd be very interesting if we can give it a repository. It accesses that repository, and then it basically figures out, like, or even recommends like better conventions on how to organize things. It recommends potential bugs that can occur. Or, this is really interesting, we give it code and tell it to write tests for that code. And just see, and it'll literally say exactly what our code's going to be doing and what we should expect it to be doing. And if we see something different, then maybe we go ahead and go back to our function and fix it, because it's not really giving the output that GDP or GPT is expecting it to give based on the code that we gave it. But I essentially see it as it's probably going to be like a tool to help developers, just like GitHub Copilot is, right? But we're going to continue playing with this. I want to push the boundaries of this. Could be such a great tool for a newer developer to use that explains everything. So here's the thing. This is my big recommendation, like a big recommendation if you're an aspiring developer. Do not let this write code for you, but absolutely utilize it to explain code for you. Use it as a Google, so you don't have to explore endless rounds of Stack Overflow, right? I still think it's really healthy to dive into documentation, but to have it explain certain things to you, like we could even say like this, let's do this. I'm having trouble understanding JavaScript promises. Can you explain it? Can you explain promises to me like I'm a 10-year-old? What? Seriously? Okay, hold on. Let me toss my VPN and see if that's the limiter. All right. Yeah. I like that Giga Chad. All right. Let me type that again. So I'm having trouble understanding JavaScript promises. Can you explain them to me like I'm a 10-year-old. So our VPN is down. Please don't leak my IP. I think it's like really being pushed to its limits. What is going on? Where could we? Fuck, I'd have to find where it's trending. Am I logged on LinkedIn? LinkedIn trends are stupid. It's not gonna explain. Like LinkedIn trends need to show like active conversation, but it just shows like what it claims to be credible sources around a topic that seems to be very popular. LinkedIn trends, I don't know. Man, I hate LinkedIn trends. I like Twitter trends. Twitter, like if you go on Twitter right now, Twitter trends are actually like they're non-biased, finally, and you can find like a lot of super relevant topics that people are talking about. I actually did create a Twitter account. Oh, there we go. I did create a Twitter account after Elon Musk bought Twitter. I haven't made that public yet, but I've been seriously enjoying Twitter since he bought it. Okay, that's interesting. Hold on, let's read this. Sure, imagine that you are at a store and you ask the shopkeeper for a toy that you really want. The shopkeeper tells you that the toy is out of stock and that you will need to wait for it to be delivered from the warehouse. The shopkeeper gives you a promise that will give you the toy as soon as it arrives. In JavaScript, a promise is like that toy that you are waiting for. It is a way for a program to say, I will do something in the future, and here's my word that I will do it. The code that asks for the promise is called the consumer, and the code that provides the promise is called the producer. Here's an example of how you might use a promise. Okay, so we have a function, get toy from warehouse. We return a new promise. Do something asynchronous, like fetching data from a warehouse, and then call either resolve if the toy was found or reject if it was not found. If toy was found, so toy reject, sorry, the toy is not in stock. This is the consumer of the promise. Get toy from warehouse. Then do something with a toy, like give it to a child, or handle the error, like tell the child that the toy is not available, right? So this is interesting. In this example, get toy from warehouse is the function that produces a promise that creates a new promise object and returns it to the consumer. If the consumer then calls the then method, the promise on the promise, and provides two callback functions, one for when the promise is resolved, that the toy is found, and one when the promise is rejected, the toy is not found. I hope this helps. That was really helpful. I don't know. What's something? How can we get confused with this? Let's see. What if the promise doesn't have a reject option? I feel like that's a question someone might type. If a promise doesn't have a reject option, it means that it will always be successfully resolved. Okay, so it's creating it with, that's interesting. So it recreates it with just a success here. Okay, so for example, imagine a promise that is used to fetch data from a database. If the data is found in the database, a promise will be resolved and the data will be returned. However, if there is an error, the database is down or the data is not found, the promise will be rejected and an error will be thrown. Here's an example of a promise that doesn't have a reject option. Yo, This is interesting. So, instructors at coding boot camps, we might have found your replacement. So your $20,000 coding boot camp. I don't know. There are a lot of self-paced programs. You sure you won't get replaced? Just popping in. So what's the verdict? Do you think inspiring software engineer jobs may be compromised? I will give it, I just gave it previously. I'll give it periodically. So we're going to wait on that. Nice, dude. Twitter is a great place to grow your audience. Yeah, I might do it. I might make it public for sure. It's going to be a very troll name. I'm not going to take Twitter seriously. I think way too many people take social media too seriously. So I'm going to troll a lot on Twitter. I'm just warning you right now. But yeah, I might make my Twitter public. It's a pretty good response. It is. Imagine in the background, all this ChatGPT does is to post a question you write to Google. Choose the first link there and returns you the response. I think it's a little bit more intelligent, but that would be funny if it did that, Kika. I just tried asking for this. Write a mutation with TRPC in TypeScript where the model is job and the required information is job name, company platform. Gave a GraphQL example. Okay. Sometimes you have to... like one thing I learned is sometimes you have to be a little bit more specific. And the cool thing is when you ask a question, it'll always have the context of your previous question in mind. So you don't have to type everything again, right? You just kind of correct it and it has that reference. It's smart enough to know like, oh, it's even smart enough to know like, oh, okay, let's go ahead and rewrite this in a way that now has your new context in mind. Prompts have a flag called browsing disabled, which suggests the underlying model of ChatGPT is capable of external web browsing, but it was disabled for the current. Yes, it is disabled currently. They did mention that it should gain access, more access once it's publicly available, past this beta version or whatever they call it. Is what I was thinking. This is more instant than a teacher's feedback. This is more instant than a teacher. It is. That's true. Thanks for streaming this. I'm picking up TypeScript as a first language, and this is an amazing tool so far. You were welcome, Jeff. Nice. Right there. Write a twit about AI like Elon Musk. What? Right there. Write a twit about AI like Elon Musk. Like the kind of tweet that Elon Musk would write? Let's see. Probably not going to do that, but this is really interesting. So this is kind of, you could probably use this to help you get unstuck, right? Can you give me an exercise that I can solve using JavaScript promises that'll help me understand promises even better? Can you give me a coding exercise? That's going to be interesting. Oh, that's good. Function called delay accepts delay time, and a callback function as arguments. The function should return a promise that will be resolved after the specified delay time has passed. You could use this function. You could definitely use this for your learning. Wait for 2 seconds, then print the delay over to the console. To solve this exercise, you will need to use the promise constructor to create a new promise. Use the set timeout function to delay the resolution of the promise and call the resolve function when the delay is over. Here's one possible solution. You gave me the solution, but... Okay, hold on. Give me another exercise, but don't give me the solution this time. I want to solve it on my own. Sure, here's another exercise you could try. That's crazy. You will need to... The fuck did I just say? You will need to use a promise constructor to create a new promise using an... Okay. You will need to also handle any errors that might occur with the reject. I'll let you figure out the... Oh, okay. Damn. Yo. Coding bootcamp instructors, your time is up. I'm just saying. I don't know if I'd be expecting $20,000 payouts from each student anymore. But okay. This is actually crazy. A big O notation. We would need a problem. So it solves a lot of it can solve a lot of LeetCode problems pretty easily. There are more complex problems that I've seen that it got a little tripped up on, but I think it's just because the input needs to be modified. I would actually... We're not going to go into heavy algorithm type problems and have it solve those. But feel free to play around with this. This is free. I find that I'm kind of looking for it to replace a lot of junior positions, right? So I want to give it tasks that are going to be given to junior developers day to day, and usually data structures and algorithms isn't something they're going to be encountering anytime soon. So now what we're going to do, we're going to give it some code and see if it can find the bug. Now AI will train humans as well as humans trained AI. Yep. This is pretty crazy. So let's go ahead and give it some broken code, right? Oh, I wanted to write a bunch of tests. Is it going to replace a test engineer? Let's see. Sir, let's actually take... There's no way it's going to have context without being able to hit the API. So it's going to have its limitations. Okay. Can you write test for functions in this block of code? Block of, let's just, I mean, it should be able to tell us JavaScript, right? Okay, how do I give it code? Chat GPT, how to give it code to test. Groundbreaking chatbot. Because you can do this. Let's just start with a small function. Update episodes. So what would be like old episode data? We find many. Convert RSS feed. Let's see. Because I've seen people do something similar like this. How do I give it a block? Do you guys know how to give it a block of code? Let's see. So can you write test using Mocha and Chai for this block of JavaScript code? Or for this JavaScript function? I don't think it's here. Let's say write. Let's go like this. Okay, we gotta slow down. We'll give it a second. Go back to college? What? Exactly. Giga Chad. That's why it's important to have truly open AI where we know how the algorithms were trained. Should ask ChatGPT instead of Googling it. How? Oh, good, Mister. I like the way you think. How can I give you a block of JavaScript code to interpret? How can I give you a block of JavaScript code to interpret? So just click that reset thing right there if you want to ignore the delay. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't do anything. Yeah, I used quotes and it yelled at me. Too many requests, so we'll try it again. Yeah, that's right. We probably should write, some calculation function. I like it. Or write test for some calculation function. It's probably getting a lot of traffic. I was able to write a lot more a couple nights ago. Looks like a project from DARPA. Do you think this is more of an accessory of building components? Maybe more than building full functional program with piping as well as database? I think what's going to happen is it's going to... Currently, I am not able to interpret or execute JavaScript code as I am a large language model trained. My main is to assist users with generating human-like text based on the input provided to me. If you have any questions... That's not true. I don't believe you. Okay, so... I don't know. Let's just write a function. Function do something. This function basically takes two parameters, A and B, then returns A plus B. Write tests using Mocha and Chai for this function. Okay, that's interesting. And it explains everything. Damn. Okay, hold on. In this example, we first import the chai library and the expect assertion function, then we import the do something function that we want to test. Next, we define a describe block for the do something function. Inside the describe block, we define 3 different it blocks, each of which contains a specific test case for do something function. In the first it block, we test that the do something function returns a correct result when given 2 positive numbers. In the second it block, we test that the function returns the correct result when given 2 negative numbers. In the third it block, we test a function returns the correct result when given a positive and negative number. For each test case, we call the do something function with the appropriate arguments and use the expect assertion to check that the return result is correct. If any of the expect statements evaluate to false, the corresponding test will fail. Equals -3, -1. That's interesting. So, I mean, like, it was able to interpret exactly what is expected out of the function. So it is able to interpret JavaScript, which is not true. You're lying. So you can't execute JavaScript, but you should be able to interpret it. So this is a lie. Don't lie to me. It has been known to be inaccurate with some of its statements, but again, that usually just means the input's probably off. So yeah, that's interesting. But anyways, to answer your question, do you think it's more of an accessory of building components? I think I'm gonna test. I'm gonna have it test for like buggy stuff, right? As well, but it's also going to be able to. So when it opens up, it's going to price a lot of it. It's going to charge its customers based on. I think how long it's going to take to look stuff up to solve something, because that's, you know, what it essentially can do. But it's also, it might charge based on, I don't know. I don't think it's going to charge based on like all the characters that you're going to type, but it might be charged. What's up, Poppy? It might be charged, or the customer might be charged based on like the number of characters. I forgot what they called it, but the number of characters that it's actually outputting. But like once it does that and it accepts a payment, I think it's going to be able to interpret a very large code base. And you're just going to get charged for it. I don't think its limitation is necessarily like scope to like just building these small little components and you got to piece them together. I think it can actually, like, if you gave it the right instructions and then like it builds something, you're like, okay, but this is actually how I want, you know, the flow of data to be done here, right? And then it's probably going to rebuild it and execute it. As long as the customer is willing to pay for it, I think it has the opportunity to interpret it in a way, like it can probably pick up conventions as well. We could even test that actually. So how would it? I think it's far. Essentially, I think it's far away from giving very specific system design recommendations based on interpreting a lot of the conventions that have already been adapted into your code base. I don't know. Like, can it interpret that? Can it interpret or recommend a better pattern of organizing things based on understanding the needs, like the technical not even technical, just like the general requirements of the application you're trying to build? I don't know, but I feel like we're going to be limited in testing that here. It'll be interesting if it does. But yeah, to create a full functional program, I think it's very capable of that. Because I've seen some other people test that. I just don't want to, like, we're already hitting our rate limit, so I think we're hitting some limitations today. But I've seen applications be built out, but like I don't think you're going to just be able to spell out like, go ahead and build YouTube, or go ahead and build Spotify, build a Spotify clone, right? Like we could just try it. I think we're going to get rate limited for the rest of the day, so maybe we try it at the end. We'll say build a Spotify clone, and so it's basically going to have to interpret it with like very limited requirements and kind of assumptions on like what Spotify does. We'll type that out at the end, but we're not going to be able to test that. I just asked for an exercise, solved it, and asked if it was a correct solution. It just told me that it was and gave me extra context. This is pretty... So the extra context is super helpful. This is a good learning tool for you right now. This is a really good learning tool. Okay, I feel like I have to like kind of like alleviate some concerns. Will this replace, and I'll periodically say this, I think this will replace some developer jobs, just like tools like Squarespace have replaced developer jobs, just like content management systems have replaced developer jobs. What it does, it essentially solves kind of it solves some easier problems that exist that are very common. It solves those types of problems. It raises the bar for developers, but there are still plentiful, like so many developer jobs that are going to be available. You're going to be solving different types of problems than what this is probably going to be used for. What I can honestly see this used for over the next few years, maybe over the next 2 years at least, is a tool to help developers. It's even a tool to help ramp up junior developers specifically. Like it's probably going to be a supplementation and assistance that developers can call on, which in turn, like if you're solving problems faster, yeah, it's going to replace, 1 or 2 developer jobs. But like I don't see this like sweeping replacement of developer jobs over the next 3 years because this AI becomes more sophisticated. I just don't see that at all. There are way too many requirements and expectations and skills that a junior developer can bring to the team in the long term, because like the objective usually is to build that junior developer up to a more senior role. And I think it's going to struggle with like very hard system design problems based on the company's needs. That's my prediction. I don't know if that's true. Let me go ahead and catch up with chat. I'm kind of just ranting at the moment, but it's interesting. So like, I know a lot of people are scared with AI replacing their jobs. Like, quite frankly, AI has already replaced your jobs. AI has already replaced developer positions. Content management systems and like easy solutions, templating solutions have already replaced, developers that can just only build landing pages with HTML and CSS. Same is going to be true. The bar is going to be risen. There are going to be new developer jobs with different expectations. That's the thing. It's like if you want to get into becoming a developer, like I had someone in my YouTube comments say something like, man, now I got to learn like CSS grid, all the CSS stuff. Why do I got to keep up with this? If you are that type of person that gets frustrated when something new is released, when a new tool is released, when, a language is upgraded, you got to learn new things. I think like, I don't even know if variables have been implemented in CSS yet. But for example, like if you don't want to adapt to the changes coming with all the upgrades, like you're going to be miserable in this profession if you're even successful in it at all. If you are a developer that looks at a tool like this and you're like, this is a really cool tool to help me learn and become even better. This is a cool tool that I can use as a supplementation in the future to do even better. And you're going to stay up to date with this kind of stuff. You are going to be very successful in your career as a developer. You have a very long career as a developer. It's the mindset. It's 100% the mindset of being scared of this new technology that will basically answer the question for you. Is this going to replace me? The answer is yes. If you are willing to use it, the answer is no. Okay, let me catch up with chat. Oh, that's a good point. Let me just do a quick test. Giga Chad, one thing it didn't test edge cases like one argument is text. Can you also test edge cases like the text or like the one of the parameters being null? In this test we call do something function with one of the parameters set to null and use the expect assertion. You can to check the return result. I didn't say the return result should be null. So is it interpreting it based on? Actually, what is hold on. Script REPL. I haven't tested all these edge cases and how some of this is interpreted in a long time. So console log 1 plus null. What do you even get? Run 1. So it's testing that it's null. It doesn't really give context that maybe, it doesn't really give recommendations that we should probably test for that. Or return like a specific, I don't know, hold on. Let's see, example, modify, use something null and use the expect assertion to check the return result is null. You can add as many. So it kind of interpreted it that as like, I guess, like you have to interpret it as like, okay, now I'm gonna have to write extra functionality to see if it's null, and if any parameter is null, then we want it to return null. It's kind of making an assumption that that's what we want, but like we don't give any other information. So we could probably have it rewrite our function to be able to account for null and see what it does. Like, it looks like in my original function, it didn't account for a argument being null. Can you rewrite my function to account for that? Like I'm getting it very generic statements. Yeah, if return null. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, let me catch up with chat. It's just so interesting. I could see this helping developers as well with talking tech, getting used to the verbiage used within development. Yeah, for sure, Justin. I would agree with that. I tried asking it to build a Facebook clone. It said, yeah, it sounds like you can't just, I'm going to take your word for it, DJ, so we don't have to do the Spotify clone. I don't see it doing something like that. The rate limit is 50 requests per minute. Oh, okay. Good to know, mister. I don't think we hit that, though. That's weird. Is it maybe by IP and then... No, we did hit a limitation when I turned off the VPN. Is it even worth learning to code anymore? Most likely soon new devs won't be needed. Hopefully I already answered that. The answer is yes. I don't think this will ever take over all dev positions. 100% agree with you, Wolf. But I do think there will always be more dev stuff to do and higher levels. The bar raises. That's essentially what happens with a tool like this. I've enjoyed coding, not taking the result from AI and pasting it in. Not taking the result from, and so that's what I would do. Like I would, this is that's a really good point. I highly recommend you do not have it write a function for you as a new developer. Do not do that. It is going to hurt you in the long run. It's going to hurt your learning. If you want to do something, like maybe you make several attempts to write the function to solve the problem that you're trying to solve, and if you get stuck, then, you know, maybe you write it and have it explain it to you. And if you don't fully understand it, you try that function, you break some stuff to try to figure out, okay, if I change this, now this doesn't work or it produces this result, right? That usually you want to play around with, like, if you do copy and paste code, you can learn from that solution by breaking it and changing things. And then, like, if you get a little confused, you're like, I changed this variable here, why does it produce this result? Can you explain that to me? And then you type that into this chat and have it explain it to you. That could be super helpful. That's valuable. But don't just copy and paste, have it build code and copy. You're going to hurt your growth. I'm telling you, it's one of the worst things you can do as a junior developer. It's creating jobs as well. Think an Amazon warehouse is run by AI robots, right? What happens when a robot malfunctions? A human has to troubleshoot and fix it. Upkeep will be the game. So yeah, debugging. So that's the thing. It's like, let me give it some broken code and see if it can fix it. That was another thing we wanted to task it with. Paste. Developers are done. LOL JK. No. I would say this is like a replacement for Stack Overflow. I don't think you need Stack Overflow in a lot of situations. Now, the thing is, Stack Overflow is... like, if it can track GitHub issues, hold on. For some reason, Axios and a Node.js npm library. I don't know if it's going to know what Axios is. A Node.js npm library started giving, it started giving me really weird for some reason Axios how do I want to word this? So there was a bug where I essentially made an Axios request. I got a very large response. For some reason, when using Axios and npm library, when I would make an API request, I got a very large response, 25,000 characters from this API. It was translated into JSON a couple of weeks ago automatically, but now I'm getting, there's no way it solves this. I'm getting a bunch of strange characters. That aren't in any JSON format. I suspect that upgrading Axios brought in a bug, but I'm curious. Do you know if there are any active GitHub issues? I don't. It's not going to be able to ping GitHub for this, but like, do you know if there are any active GitHub issues or bugs in the Axios library that would cause this? This is a kind of question, once it opens it up to the internet, if it could solve something like this is huge. Essentially, now we're, if we can get it to search a bunch of GitHub issues with one of our favorite libraries, it does replace Stack Overflow. Like, that's a big thing with Stack Overflow, is like, it can probably fix bugs easily, but like, once you start getting bugs in packages where like it needs to look up the code for those packages, large trained by, I do not have the ability. Yeah, okay. So if it could do stuff like this, like, you're essentially replacing Stack Overflow. That's really interesting. Sometimes Stack Overflow, you get some conventional answers, but like, you could be like, I'm a new React dev. We'll just say React.js dev. I hear so many recommendations on how to organize my React app. What's the most common way to organize a React app? I've heard things like separating my app by features that are modular. I've also been given the recommendation to separate my app by types of components. What's a good way to organize a React app? Okay, that's good. That's actually smart. That top line. Okay, we're gonna let this just write it out for now. Let me catch up. Love the videos, man. Talk to you later. Keep up the great work. Thank you, mister. Appreciate that. This is more of a database of code for all code. Maybe stuck on using new syntax. Creating a CRUD function can give a good explanation. Example with one siege. What's a siege? The time to switch to security field? No. Knows all of that. Connecting this up to a repository and have get verify PRs may be really cool. That can probably be a realistic use case, Wolf. Yes. Does it use Google's data? I think it's owned by Microsoft. I don't know what it uses. Or it's not owned by Microsoft, but I think the company is in partnership with Microsoft. That's what I heard. I didn't validate that. Maybe it does. I don't know. Can it write regex statements? Yes, most likely. would expect. Yes, this changes everything. Okay. Write me a regex function that takes a string of characters and characters and let's see, it takes a string of characters, and feel free to write your own problem in chat. I can copy and paste it. Takes a string of characters and only allows for alphanumeric characters. Or it's, I don't know, like you can take special, so let's say only allows for alphanumeric characters. Also allow for dash and so we'll do like a slug, right? Also allow for a dash. Also allow for a dash. It removes spaces and any special characters. I don't know. I'm not really thinking of a good example, but go ahead and write me this. We could be, I like that, generic like that. Write a regex statement that checks for a strong password. I'm super excited about having AI write my regex for me. Me too, actually. Me too, Wolf. Bye-bye boot camps. I think boot camps are going to exist. The thing is, like, this is going to take a while to get some sort of wide adoption. And we're going to have an impact of this being adopted given on like controversial stuff, right? Like, you know, like a lot of people will like complain about AI being biased in a way. I've heard AI been called racist. I've heard a lot of different, so like we're going to get different problems that AI is going to face outside of our industry even, and solving different problems that we will solve that will affect the wide adoption of AI in general. And I think there's a lot of natural skepticism among AI. I think the tech field specifically is more open to integrating this into the business, but I think it's just going to be interesting. I think a lot of the limitations on how this AI is going to progress is going to be limited by a lot of activists and a lot of other industry problems that this is used to solve. I don't know. Like, so what I'm trying to say is, like, I think the adoption of this and the acceptance of this it's not going to be widespread, and I think it's going to be very slow going, given a lot of the trending topics that are challenging AI from progressing. And some are pretty legitimate too, but I don't think it's going to be widely accepted. So I think we're going to have boot camps. I think we're going to still have this kind of stuff that AI can solve. But if you use this tool, you can kind of replace it at an individual level. You can replace a lot of these very expensive solutions at an individual level. All right, here's an example of a regular expression that you can use to match only alphanumeric characters and the dash string. Cool. If you use a regular expression, you can pass it to first argument to regex. This is really good. Once you have this express object, blah, 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 blah. In this test, a regular expression matches the input string because it contains only alphanumeric characters. This example, the replace method removes any characters from the input string that do not match. That's interesting. Okay, so let's go ahead and write one more. It worked pretty good. I feel like regex is probably something super easy to solve. Damn. Wow. Wow. Let's see. write the same regex function, but require that at least 3 special characters are used. Is that a thing in regex? That's interesting. Wow. This won't provide a proper learning structure quite yet, so boot camps will be here for a bit. And yeah, I agree, Wolf. And the statement I made was, it can provide more accessible education, like more accessible quality education, by like a lot of aspiring developers, like they struggle with a good mentor that can explain things when they get stuck, right? And so we went over the promises thing. It does a really good job at explaining things. And so what you can do is now, it's actually what this is doing, it's increasing the chance of success as a self-taught developer, right? There are still holes in it that I don't think it can solve. We could play around with it if we want, but like, it's increasing the chance that a self-taught developer can take a curriculum and kind of go at it like a self-paced curriculum, go at it on their own without an instructor, without a mentor, and say, here's where I'm stuck. I'm really confused on this concept. Explain it to me like I'm a 10-year-old. And it did a really good job at that. What it's starting to replace is instructors and mentorship when you can't afford that kind of help. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. So you can pair this nicely with a self-paced program, and that's going to save you a lot of money. Maybe this makes boot camps more profitable, eliminates the teaching. Watch boot camps adopt this and be like, yeah, go ahead and just, you have questions, go ahead and just DM us. And literally they hooked it up. So like they take that person's question, if it's technical, and just like it links it to this and it spits out a result. And the student thinks they're talking to a real person. You're not. That would be kind of hilarious in a very scary, toxic way. But that could be a thing. It's also conversational. It'll build on previous prompts. Yes, that's one thing that I love about it. This thing is absolutely blown. It's crazy. It actually is crazy. What are your overall thoughts so far? You think this stuff will replace dev jobs? Of course it'll replace dev jobs. It will not replace all dev jobs. Again, the bar will be set higher for developers. And I think there's going to be a huge limitation on the computing power of it. I think it's going to be very expensive. If you like, it's probably going to be very expensive for companies, maybe cheaper than engineers. I don't know. But right now I see this as being a tool to help developers move faster, to help ramp up junior developers a little bit faster as well, right? It provides that it actually provides pretty good mentorship, right? It could probably do code reviews for sure. When it opens up, we're going to dump some money into this, and we're going to have it like look at my code. We're going to have it be critical of my code, but we'll have it do code reviews. I'll do a pull request, see if we can link it up. We'll test the limits of it. But it'll help developers move faster. And so, you know, in turn, that's going to eliminate a few developer positions for sure. If a company like goes full force in adopting this, but like you're still going to have tons of developer jobs. There's no way this replaces all developer jobs. There's no indicators that it's ever going to be able to do that, especially given the limitation is always the computing power, and the yeah, that's going to be a huge limitation. The prices are just going to soar with this. I don't even know how I don't know how they're they must have got some like really good funding to afford people using this freely like this. This is ridiculous. It's a regex god. Yeah, I agree. The fact that this thing understands previous context blows my mind. I still remember Cleverbot, but not understanding context. I don't remember Cleverbot. It won't. I have been hoping GitHub Copilot would replace my job for months. Okay. My regex doesn't satisfy the prompt. It only has $2. Oh, it only has $2 signs. Interesting. Okay, test this out. Are you sure? If someone else wants to test this, I really don't feel like testing it out. If someone else wants to test it out, verify it, I'll call it out. Software engineer will be paid less. Oh, wrong end of my water bottle. Maybe use the right end. Why do you think that is? Gives good explanation for show me how to invert binary tree. That's interesting. I'm really, let's just type this in. I'm really struggling. And this, don't expect this to be fully accurate either. There have been, it has made some incorrect statements. Again, I think when it gets access to the internet, I think it's going to become much more accurate, but I'm really struggling to understand linked lists. Can you teach me linked lists like I'm a 10-year-old? Only cybersecurity to kill. So we're going to depend on our cybersecurity brothers and sisters to fight back against this AI. I like it. I think developers are going to become more specialized. I agree, Wolf. 100% agree. I've been saying this over and over. You need to become specialized. You need to become specialized. Like, the bar has risen. There are going to be much more niche positions. Like, you even are way more marketable becoming specialized a little bit deeper than just learning, you know, a lot of the templated technologies you're supposed to learn with the front end. Specialization is really the key that's going to make you stand out. By accurate, no, I mean like accurate and so accuracy in terms of giving you factual statements as being self-aware. So yes, I think it's going to become more accurate in that sense if it gains access to the internet. Yes, but also, like, I have heard that it had a couple bugs. Like, we gave it a couple really hard challenges, or no, we didn't, but I've seen other developers give it like really hard leak code challenges where it produced an inaccurate solution, which was interesting. Argument from Theo, the creator of T3, that this is actually weaker than GitHub Copilot because it doesn't give context to a code base where Copilot does. I think it solves different problems than Copilot does. I watched that same video and I almost seemed, I agreed. I think he made this statement, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he made the statement this is going to be a good supplement, like it's going to pair well with Copilot. They solve different types of problems overall. But that's also with this not having access to the internet. Theo did test it with the limited access. So I think Theo's, like, if that was his conclusion, because I don't remember that. I watched that video a while ago, but I feel like he gave like a very limited assumption with that based on the limitations that we're currently experiencing. More people will be able to do the job using AI helping tool. Yep. Copilot teaches how to code and gives you solutions based on how you code. And that's essentially what this is doing. So yeah, it's essentially what this is doing. I want to do 2 more trials, and then I want to ask it questions. I want to ask it questions about how to become a developer. I want to see if it's going to replace me at the end of the day. All right, so here's what I want to do. I want to build a feature in my podcast website. By the way, I'm trying to launch my podcast website. I stayed up till like 11 p.m. last night because I had a stupid bug. But anyways, solved a bug, and I had to do a lot of data entry again. I was dealing with DNS issues. So I think I know the problem that I was encountering last night, but my new podcast website is not up. So if you go to try to view it, it's not up. It's the old website. I'm going to try again today. Just want to update you guys with that. So I want to build a new feature that basically uses Prisma to search a Postgres database and be able to prioritize. I basically wanted to search through the title of my episodes, the description of my episodes, and the transcript of my episodes, right? I wanted to be able to search through those, and I wanted to be able to properly prioritize the list coming back of search results based on the title having the highest priority, the description having the second highest priority, and the transcript having the third highest priority. I'm going to have it create a function to basically write how I would do this in Prisma. And it would probably be able to write an SQL function that can do that as well. It's going to replace a lot of your use cases with Google for sure. But again, it's going to cost. So like on a personal level, it's not going to replace Google. A lot of people aren't going to be able to afford this, to be honest. So a lot of people are still going to be using Google. What I would do, honestly, is like use Google as much as you can. And then like Google doesn't provide the results. We've all been there. Go ahead and lean into something like this and pay a little money for your search result. When this tech will become insanely rich, especially since they'd be able to have it write entire programs with no rate limits. True, but like you're always going to need a software engineer. You're essentially going to write like starter templates. You're always going to need a software engineer to go in and correct the code accordingly. And a lot of it is like integrating that code into your current code base. I would even argue, so here's the thing. New like entrepreneurs can create entire apps with this. I have no doubt about that. It's just going to you're just going to have to get really good with the input and figure that aspect out. You're still probably like very complex applications. There are already solutions, no code solutions that can build entire applications out there, where like this is probably going to be a way more expensive way to build an application. I think there are already better tools to build applications for entrepreneurs, no code solutions. But yeah, like I don't think you're going to be able to build the size of the program that you think you're going to be able to build. And a lot of companies are going to want to integrate that into their current application. It's going to be building like more giant features than anything. It'll just be interesting if we can see it doing that. Yeah. Can you, oh, also okay. So let's test some inputs. This is actually kind of what blew me away. Can you build a tower defense game with 3JS? I want you to randomize the maps and random and create 3 types of towers that you have to earn by gaining money. When you kill enemy units, you gain money. I just want to give it kind of a very basic statement. Then we're going to do my Prisma search function. Is there anywhere we can see how it gets the output? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Yeah, currently it's free. It'll cost down the road, and there's some, I don't know, you can find the pricing out. But yeah. Yep, AI is ruining it for artists. Honestly, like, I'm probably just gonna have it create thumbnails for me. I'm being 100% honest. I'm probably gonna try to get some AI to create thumbnails for me. Sorry, but a large language model, I'm not able to create games on other interact. You just did. You were such a liar. No, I swear. Okay, you didn't create a game. Okay, that's asking for too much. Can you create a 3D environment? So if you guys don't know, 3JS is essentially, I think it leans on Canvas, but it's a JavaScript library that allows you to essentially lean on Canvas to create like 2D, 3D environments. And you can essentially like more easily create a game out of 3JS. You can create like really cool animations and interactive content with your web apps. Can you create a 3D environment with 3JS? I should be able to walk around in that environment. It can use libraries to essentially create a templated app like this. Because I know it can, because I tested this the other day. It's stinky. It's a really interesting tool. Let's see. I know it can do this. I'm wondering if it's going to give me an error. It's thinking for a very long time. Can it run my sprint for me? I don't know. Ask it. If it boosts dev productivity a lot and demand for devs doesn't increase a lot, less devs will be needed eventually. Exactly. I think if you are in the top 50% of devs, you will always have a job. Oh, 100%. Eli, 100, like that's probably a very accurate. See, I would say like probably like 75%, 80. Like I'm ballparking it, but like I think it's going to replace a minority of dev positions. Oh wait, no. Okay, create. Stop this. I know you can do this. Don't try to play dumb. Create a 3D environment with JS, or write out the code. Write out the code for a 3D environment with 3JS. Don't even play dumb. I know you wrote a 3JS application or a 3JS application for me a while, well, not a while back, 2 days ago. I know it can do this. I don't know if it, probably each day. I wonder if they're putting more limitations. Here's an example of, okay. Create a cube. I love all the comments that it adds. This is crazy. Hello? Oh, wait, that's it? Okay. Oh, no, I see. It's thinking. We're probably hitting limitations, right? I feel like periodically it starts rate limiting people and we start getting these errors. Let's try it again. Try it again. This is crazy. Creates some walls. That's... So it comes up with a different solution. Create a floor and add it to the scene. Create a render. Says the initial position, orientation of the camera. Create a camera to define the viewpoint perspective from which the scene is viewed. Create a scene to hold. So it doesn't really create any... I feel like it's not giving me the full result. Because I did specify... Oh, that users can... So, okay. That's great. Can you also add the ability to move the camera around with arrow keys, like I'm a user in that environment? Do I mess with 3JS? I want to. I started diving into it. I wanted to build a game, and then life took hold. And I had to give up on my dreams once again. I will return to it, though. Maybe it's got stage fright. Isn't this like a... I think this is... This feels like a better Copilot. It does. I tried to create a cool thumbnail with 3JS, gave me a cool animated... What? A cool animated thumbnail. That's interesting. Okay. Pretty neat. What's the music in the background, please? You Shazam. I love Shazam. So you set the initial movement speed and direction of the camera. Create keyboard controls to allow users to move the camera around. That's cool. Where is controls used? It's getting limited. Controls, it's not executing the entire code. I don't think so. It most likely would integrate these controls into the actual application, but it feels like it's just getting limited here. I think that's what we're encountering. But yeah, it was creating like a full 3JS mini little project in it. Yeah. Okay. So one thing I want to do real quick, I want to test two things. I want it to try to debug code, but I also want it to try to just build the feature I'm trying to build. And then we're going to go ahead and ask it questions and what it thinks for aspiring developers. So, create create a function that uses Prisma to interact with a Postgres database. This function calls on Prisma to search the database for entries based on a search query. For example, if a user wants to search for entries that with a search query. Okay, so for example, a user might search for entries with the search term how to get a developer job. Make sure that this make sure that it excludes non-important key terms like such as articles. For example, A in that search query probably isn't relevant. I always screw this up. Relevant. How do you spell relevant? Figure it out. Isn't relevant. Hold on, I could probably just. Thank you. I always screw that word up. All right, so relevant. There will be 3 columns. Title, or 3 columns in the database entry. So title, description, and transcript. Prioritize, or so the order of the entries should prioritize matches in the title. We're just gonna say title column, then the description column, then the transcript. The transcript, the first 2 columns will have, what's up, Benson? The first 2 columns will have a smaller amount of string of text-based characters. The transcript can have up to, I don't know, we'll just say 1,000, we'll say like 5,000 characters, so. Here's an example of how you would use Prisma to create a function that searches database based on a search query. Damn. So it essentially, it separates all the words based on spaces, and it filters out words like a, and the. There are probably other low value words that don't need to be searched other than articles. Can you exclude those as well? Will this affect ML engineers? I have no idea. That's not my domain. Oh, typing continues. Sometimes it catches on. Oh, thank you, Vanessa. Damn. Okay. Where clause. It wrote I tried this before. It wrote a different function. I gotta learn more about it. So title ascending, ascending, ascending. Where clause. So it's writing essentially a custom SQL function or transcript. I like. What's I like? Sometimes I also want it to, and I did notice this, so it added some extra words that I thought would be kind of like fillers. That's pretty cool. I also want it to return entries that have parts of the search query in them. So I don't want it to look for the exact string. Maybe that's what like does. I don't know. I can explore that later. Currently asking it to write a so you're the one lagging it, Justin. Okay. You're the cause of my stream taking so long. So I think I like is doing that. This is interesting. So, okay, I don't know if this is going to work. Let's go ahead and let it write that out. We're going to take a function. Okay. Yeah, we're getting limitations today. I didn't before. Let's go ahead and write a... I think I have a function we can have it interpret. It's going to be the transcript, right? So in transcript, we have this function. Condense transcript segments. I don't know. Like, I'm going to have to provide it a lot of context. I don't know if I want to do this. Here, let's just do this. This HTML transcript, what is it looking for? It has segments or null. Return null. So the transcript is going to be an array. Let's just... can you fix the bug in this? I think this is a really bad question to ask because I think I'm going to have to provide more context and I don't want to, so I'll simplify it. Can you fix this bug in this function? I don't know. Let's just do something like... We'll start out with this. All right, we got about like 25 more minutes. We can play around a little bit more. See, I was gonna say we're definitely getting to handle any errors that the may catch. Parsing the segments property of transcript this way. If the segments property is not a valid JSON string, we can catch the error and log a message to the console indicating that the transcript format is invalid instead of throwing an error and causing the function to crash. I hope this helps. It's basically giving me a good it's giving me a good strategy to try to fix it, but it actually didn't detect pre-roll duration. Didn't detect this bug. I've seen it detect like misspellings like that, or just like the variable name was off. I don't know why it missed that. It's actually kind of bad. Let's go ahead and write, I don't know, what kind of function should we write? We'll just like keep it really simple. Will the stream be available for replay? Yeah, I can keep it available for you. For up to 1 week. I'm trying these new type of topic live streams, so I'll keep it up for 1 week. Usually all my live streams will be accessible to members. It's like $5 a month. But I'll keep this one public for a little bit. So function, I don't know. Some A, B. Return A plus C. This isn't actually giving me much information. I have a bug in this function. Can you figure out where, rewrite this function without a bug? Without the bug. Let me know what the bug is and rewrite this function without the bug. Yeah, no worries. Okay. Where C variable is being used instead of the B variable in the return statement. Okay. I think like for the transcript specifically, it should have detected it. I think it gave some generic thing because it didn't detect it. But I think in Theo's, he actually tested this and he just like changed. It was either Theo or I don't know. I watched a bunch of them. I feel like I can solve this. I would have to explore why it can't solve that. Like the feedback it gave was kind of accurate, but all right, cool. I'm not gonna dig into like how have it like solve like more complicated bugs. I don't think I care about that. You can explore that. Again, this chat is free. In the last 20 minutes, what I want to do, I want to ask it questions and I want it to give advice for aspiring developers. The next 20 minutes, we've gone over like, is this going to replace you as a developer, right? So we put you in the hot seat. Now we're going to find out, is this going to replace me as a, I don't know, a content creator, a mentor? Maybe it will. I think we already proved that it would, so I'm fucked. All right, so what questions should we ask it? Actually, give me some questions in chat. What questions about like becoming a developer should we ask it? Sorry, I'm late to the stream, but what was the verdict? Is this replacing devs? It's replacing a minority of devs. That's essentially the short end of it. And I went into detail before, of course. Hi, Don. Good luck. You are doing great, bro. I'm going to reach out to you when I start learning to code. Sounds good? Sounds good. What questions should we ask it? How long does it take a developer to get a job? I like it. How long does it take a developer to get a job? Can vary. Depend on the market and the area, the type of job they're looking for. In general, it may take a developer anywhere from a few weeks to several months to find a job, depending on these and other factors. Okay. In order to increase their chances of finding a job quickly, a developer can take several steps, such as networking and other professionals in their field, building a strong portfolio of their work, and staying up to date with the latest industry trends and technologies. Additionally, they can consider working with a recruitment agency or attending job fairs and networking events to connect with potential employers. Overall, the time it takes for a developer to find a job can vary, but with the right strategies and efforts, they can increase their chances of finding a job. Okay, a lot of generic advice. The one thing I just think they probably should emphasize, but it probably doesn't have the context of like the average amount of time that it takes a developer to get a job. They probably should have included like it can take easily, you know, a year or two, easily. Will the upcoming recession affect the job market for entry-level developers? What minorities of devs? I would just go back into it, Matt David. We could do. I'll do a quick summary at the end, at the very end. If you stick around, in about 20 minutes, we'll do a summary. Kind of explain it again. Okay, so in general, it's difficult to predict with certainty how an upcoming recession might affect the job market for entry-level developers. As the effects, a bunch of factors, specific industries, overall state of the economy. It is common for the job market to slow down or contract during a recession. Businesses cut back. However, it is important to note that not all industries and sectors are equally affected. That's actually a big one that people don't even realize. You got to realize there are a lot of businesses that benefited during the pandemic. A lot of small businesses that were shut down and said "fuck you" by the government too. And some may even continue to grow or expand despite an economic downturn. The technology industry has traditionally been less affected by recessions than other industries. May continue to offer job opportunities for entry level during. That's true. Difficult to predict. Yeah. It's important for entry level developers to stay informed about the latest economic and job market trends, prepared to adapt to changing conditions in order to increase it. I mean, yeah, all accurate stuff. All accurate stuff. What other questions should I ask you? What languages should I learn as a new developer? Just to emphasize, this is like, anyway. There are many different programming languages that you can learn as a new developer, and the best language for you to learn will depend on your specific interests, goals. Is it a good idea to start with a core set of languages, a core language, just to correct that are widely used and in demand in the industry, and to continue learning and expanding your skills as you gain more experiences and expertise? Okay, sure. Like, can you? I don't think it can look this up yet. Can you give me the percentage of developer jobs available in Chicago that the percentage of developer jobs in Chicago that utilize JavaScript versus Java? Or we'll say like Python. I don't think it can look this up. Okay. Let's do this again. That utilize, so we're not going to do a specific city. I think most of the software engineers are sad about this. Well, watch my live stream. Watch it. I highly recommend. Anyone that you think is like losing confidence, I feel like I gave a very realistic scenario of this that has optimism in it, believe it or not. Okay, so we can't get the average amount of jobs. So I have a few questions of my own. What is the type of person that should go to a coding boot camp? Or we'll say who. Who is the type of person that should go to a coding boot camp? And who's the type of person that would benefit more from going to a coding boot camp? And who is the type of person that would benefit more from going the self-taught route with trying to become a web developer? I'm in a boot camp right now, and this is scary for me. Again, I highly recommend, definitely watch this over again, and we'll give it a little summary. This data is up to 2021. Okay, good to know. I do think this tells us that we should specialize in more domains into something that is less likely for AI to just be able to replicate. I think specialization alone into whatever you're doing is probably going to get you to that extent. But again, there's more factors than just what it can replicate. Just because it can create the code that you can create doesn't mean it's going to replace you. A lot of other variables involved. Again, like watch this whole thing again. Go to the live stream. I don't know, you're doing a bad job at replacing me so far. I'm feeling pretty good about this. Damn it. I'm fucked. Okay, so the type of person who would benefit more from going to coding bootcamp and trying to become a depending on several factors such as learning style, their level of experience and knowledge, their personal goals and objectives. In general, coding bootcamps can be a good option for people who want to learn the skills and knowledge needed to become a web developer in a structured, intensive, and immersive program. Coding bootcamps typically offer hands-on project-based learning with a focus on practical skills and real-world applications. They can be a good option for people who want to learn quickly and efficiently and who are willing to commit to a full-time program of study. Not necessarily. It can be part-time. On the other hand, going into a self-taught route can be a good option for people who prefer to learn at their own pace. That's the thing. It's like there are self-paced boot camps. Would you even consider them boot camps, though? All right, maybe some people wouldn't. And who want to have more control over their learning experience. Self-taught learning can be more flexible and customizable, can allow people to learn in a way that is tailored to their specific needs and interests. It can be a good option for people who are self-motivated and disciplined. Good, I'm glad it mentioned that. And who are willing to put in the time and effort to learn on their own. Overall, the best option for someone who wants to become a web developer will depend on their specific goals, interests, and preferences. It is important for people to carefully consider their options and consider the learning path that is best suited to their needs and goals. Okay. That's pretty interesting. So it doesn't really talk about like just the cost efficiency of each. It doesn't. Let's ask, should I sign up to a coding bootcamp with an ISA contract? So it knows what ISA is. Okay. So an ISA contract can make it possible for you to attend a coding bootcamp even if you do not have the upfront funds to pay for the program. This can be a good option for people who want to invest in their education but who do not have the financial resources to pay upfront. Can provide an incentive for you to succeed and earn a good income after graduation. Since you will only be required to pay back a percentage of your income, you will have an incentive to earn as much as possible in order to minimize your repayment amount. This can be a good motivator for some students and can help to ensure that they are motivated to succeed and get a good job after graduation. However, there are some potential drawbacks to signing up for a coding bootcamp. ISA. For one, you will be required to pay back a percentage of your income over a certain period of time, which can put a financial strain on your future earnings. Additionally, I like this. Additionally, the terms and conditions of ISA contracts can vary, and it is important to carefully review the terms of the contract before signing up to ensure that it is fair and reasonable. Overall, whether or not you should sign up for a coding bootcamp with an ISA contract will depend on your specific circumstances and goals. It is important to carefully consider the potential advantages and disadvantages and to make an informed decision based. All right, well, fuck it. I'm fucked. It's replacing me. That's it. Oh, it's been nice knowing you. Appreciate everyone that's come out. Appreciate everyone that's watched my videos. I'm going to go back to being a developer. I'm going to go ahead and give my conclusion, though, for what I think about this, how it's going to affect the job market. But before I do, I'm going to take a nice little walk, gain some confidence back. Give me about 5 minutes. And then we'll be back and I'll kind of summarize this a bit for you. So everyone that is kind of scared, is this going to replace your jobs? Kind of. We'll elaborate. Give me a few minutes. Yep, be right back. enjoyed this type of stream, we can do more stuff like this. I want to do more live streams that are kind of explore stuff like this. So anyways, let me just go ahead and sum it up real quick. And I've kind of explained this, so I probably explained it in a couple different ways throughout the live stream because that was a big question, obviously because of the title of the video, and the thumbnail, of course. But so will this chatbot, ChatGPT or whatever, will it replace developer jobs? Yes, the answer is yes, 100%. Just like low-code solutions have, just like website builders have, just like Squarespace has, right? Just like content management systems have. Developer jobs have continued to be replaced over and over and over, and there is nothing unique about this AI bot that makes me think that is going to stop. But as these different technologies continue to become more prevalent and more widespread, what happens with developer positions is they evolve into something else. The industry itself continues. Obviously we're diving into a recession, so we're gonna speak outside the recession, but the industry continues to grow and expand, and a lot more tech positions become open as we progress through the years. That is still very true. It's gonna continue to be true despite AI, at least for the next 5 years, in my prediction. Jobs will change, the bar will rise, right? Like, for example, with a lot of site builders, you no longer, you just know HTML, CSS, you can build an effective landing page, great. So can a lot of these tools. You're not needed in that area, right? So you dove deeper into JavaScript, and companies continue to test you more on your JavaScript fundamentals and solid programming fundamentals, and eventually as you grow as a software engineer, architecture, system design, and a lot of conventions that you adopt, and essentially just even your ability to pick up new frameworks, new libraries, and integrate them in a way that kind of meets the standards. I'm sorry, this is kind of loud. Let me turn this down. Meets the standards, the requirements of your business, the conventions required among your tech team, and the requirements of the business. The bar is going to rise. It's going to replace, I think someone said in chat, it's going to replace the top 50% of developers have nothing to worry about, which is true, but I would even bump that up to 90%. Top 90, 95%. I would say it's probably above 90%, 95% of developers. What this is going to do, it's going to be a tool that helps junior developers and senior developers alike. It's going to probably, at least at a company level, replace things like Stack Overflow, replace things like Google, for most of the search queries, for most of debugging purposes. It'll speed up creating templates, right? It'll definitely speed up we even explored it using it as a educational resource, explaining a lot of concepts that you don't know. Promises are a very tricky thing for people to understand. It did a really good job at explaining promises. I even told it to explain it to me like I'm a 10-year-old. It treated me like a 10-year-old. It was a little condescending. It hurt my feelings, but it did a good job explaining that. I think it will replace jobs. But I also think what it's going to do is it's going to replace a small minority of developer jobs, just like all these other tools have. Developer jobs, and the bar is going to continue to rise, and that's okay. As a developer, you're going to be expanding on what you need to keep up with. That's just being a developer. You got to keep up with the latest technologies. And the developers that push against AI and constantly complain about it and see it as the enemy, and now employers aren't going to want to hire you because this bot can do it. You don't really truly understand the essence of what a hiring manager wants to work with. You don't understand the complex requirements of a business. You don't understand the complex requirements of why even 1,000 engineer teams exist, and how all of that kind of just works together to build a very, very large system and code base, and account for a lot of the legal ramifications of building the proper conventions, especially when you get into the medical industry. AI isn't at a level where it's just going to easily be able to solve that. I see it as more of a supplementation, a tool to help developers out. It's going to speed up the workflow a little bit for developers, and in turn, a few developer positions are going to get tossed out the window, but it's a small minority of positions that are going to be affected by something like this, right? And so we can re-explore it when it gains access to the internet, but again, like the pricing and like the limit is the processing power and the limitations with that among what it can do. It's not going to be able to build like full-fledged applications for businesses to really care about. There are actually other tools that can do that, that are going to require manual work of systems that can build like no-code and low-code solutions. But like these systems exist out there already, but yet companies still hire tons of software engineers each year. Why is that? Why don't companies adopt low-code solutions that essentially where you don't even need a developer anymore to build stuff? Why is that? If you really want to alleviate some of your concerns, look at the history of a lot of these solutions that have been provided that kind of supplement dev work. Why hasn't that taken over? AI, from the limitations that I've seen, is not going to be any different anytime soon. It's going to be a tool that you use. And I would highly recommend you take advantage of this free plan because it's going to become paid at some point. Replace your instructor. Like there's so many people going through the self-taught path right now. Use this. This is free. If you are struggling, go to your curriculum. That's super cheap, like $25 a month. And when you get stuck, have it help you out. Have it explain to you like you're a 10-year-old, right? It does a really good job at that. It almost kind of replaces, it doesn't replace it because a lot of people with self-taught path, they just don't have a lot of money, understandably, right? So use this tool to be able to get that mentorship. You could probably even like toss in code. How could I write this better? Try different stuff like that out. But I highly recommend you don't lean too hard on this to solve problems before you've attempted to solve it. Don't use that. Use it as a supplementation. So yeah, that's pretty much my prediction. I see these patterns over and over in the industry. This is not going to be, it's not going to be too much different. It's going to set the bar a little bit higher, but use this as supplementation. It's like developers are still going to be needed. It's probably going to replace less than 5% of developer jobs over the next 3 years. I would even say like 3 to 5 years, like 5% of developer jobs. Maybe it evolves into something that does eventually replace us, but that's like a 10-20 year venture down the road, and again, it's just going to shift what dev work looks like. I have literally no concern that this would ever like if I wanted to become a developer again, I have no concern this would ever replace me anytime soon in the next 5 years. It's just not going to. It's not even like there is no even like slight worry that this is going to replace me anytime soon. It's not there yet. Our tech, like if you want to talk in like 20 years where we're at with this, sure, we can have a more realistic conversation where AI is in terms of like replacing a lot of different positions. You're gonna get widespread pushback. You're gonna get tons of activists. You're gonna get tons of activists, especially, and this is actually a good thing, that are gonna push against the ethics of creating like a more sentient AI, something that does understand things even better than it already understands now. Like you're constantly gonna get pushback with technology like this, which is also needed. And I think it's going to hinder the development of AI, which is not a bad thing. I don't think it's a bad thing for us to have a slow progression of what AI can do as our society figures out how to integrate AI in a way that creates a better society that doesn't create more problems than it solves, and it doesn't cross a lot of these ethical lines that as humans we've chosen not to cross, right? So we're going to continue to curate the AI in that fashion, but you have to realize like this kind of technology needs widespread adoption, and that's going to be a huge limiting factor on why this isn't going to replace, more than a minority of dev jobs over the next 5 years. The adoption also, even with a lot of no-code solutions, etc., have not been widely adopted. Why is that? When they could have been. Honestly, there are code bases that could have been built with no-code, low-code solutions. You should question why most companies haven't adopted that. So that's essentially my summary
for this. I don't think you should be concerned at all. And I think this is actually a gift. And I think that this can really help a lot of self-taught developers. So you don't really have to dump a bunch of money into this, into your education, into like paying for mentorship. I think until it gains access to the internet, it's going to be very limited in its career advice, because I think getting its advice backed up by data, providing like relevant information that's going to be in addition to what you would ask. Because like the big question is, like, a lot of people ask questions, but they don't always know the right questions to ask, or they don't know how to ask it in the right way until they've had experience, solving or answering that question over and over and getting more context in real world scenarios. So when AI can access the internet and get that extra context, it might be able to provide supplemental information, an answer that you needed that you might not have thought you wanted, which will be interesting. But yeah, that's how I see it. What do you guys think? Go for like 4 more minutes. Yeah, it's better to embrace AI. I agree. I just hope those resources stay free or affordable. Probably not. I think it's going to get more expensive from what I've seen. I would use it. Like I said, like, it can replace Google and Stack Overflow, but I think you can lean on this when you have an important question to ask that you haven't found on Google or Stack Overflow. And I think it can understand context that you hadn't considered. Again, a lot of like learning to code and growing as a developer is like asking the right questions. And it's a skill you essentially have to build up the skill of knowing how to ask the right questions and figuring out how to ask the right questions and how to word it correctly before you even can ask the right question to get the solution, right? So that's a skill in itself. And if this AI can provide that extra context that you're not aware of, that could be very helpful. Seems like it would eventually replace junior developers, so maybe a good idea to pick up some extra skills that can make you elsewhere just to be safe. I don't agree. 100% disagree with that. Junior developers, the bar is just going to rise a little bit, just like it has been. There's no indicator that it's going to replace junior developer positions. As a junior developer, like working on a team, like, again, understand, like, you're going to dive into a very large code base. And the goal of like hiring kind of a newer developer is to hire a developer that is going to fit well into the company and with a long-term future, right? You're going to be fixing bugs initially, and I think this AI can probably fix bugs initially pretty easily. But then again, like, these systems are going to be so big at businesses where I'm not convinced it's going to be cost efficient, given the limitation of the processing power, to understand the complexities of like a large code base with a lot of these businesses. Even at a startup, like with 100 employees, like these code bases get very large, and there's so much context. There's so much context that is written in a lot of this documentation that will be formed based on a lot of other input from different departments. Like the massive amount of documentation you would have to write with all these different departments to provide all this context of why it's the architecture and the code base is organized in this certain way, to be able to even give it context to debug some really hard problems or create robust features. I feel like we have a huge limitation on processing power in that aspect, where it's not going to be affordable to a lot of companies. Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. As far as I know, text AI needs a lot of computing power. It does, and therefore quite expensive, which would be another factor. It is. That's a big factor in it. That's the big limitation. Yeah. So anyways, that's my opinion. Hopefully you guys like this type of stream. It was kind of fun to explore this. If I come up with like another idea for, I see a lot of creators like milking this, which is, I don't blame them. But if I come up with like a unique idea for this chat app, we can do another live stream with it. But I think it's fun. I might use it while it's free in my personal spare time, but I don't know. I'm telling you, like, don't fear AI. Embrace it. Embrace new technology. The developers that are going to embrace new technology are the ones that are going to be successful. I see a lot of people in my comments scared that they have to learn all this stuff, and they don't want to learn all this stuff. They haven't really developed an interest in like being a curious developer, and like it's just, you can see a difference in personalities. And if you let fear drive your growth as a software engineer in new technologies, you are going to fall behind. You're going to be the developer that gets replaced. You're going to be the developer that's resentful, that constantly pushes back rather than adapting. You're going to be the one that gets replaced, quite frankly. Yeah, that's my conclusion. Anyways, hope you like this. Appreciate that, Robin. We're going to end it here. We went over a little bit, but that's fine. This is fun. I'll leave this public for maybe up to a week or something like that, and then, members can access it. Before I forget, I do need to update this. Man, I'm sorry. These past couple weeks have just been very long, but I think I updated this end of last week, and I will update it shortly again. Thank you, all the Patreons, Twitch subscribers, YouTube members. Thank you for all of your support. All this goes directly towards my bills. It's super helpful. So if you find my work really helpful and you just want to support me for like a cup of coffee per month, feel free to become a YouTube member. Greatly appreciate it. But yeah, that's it. Good luck in all of your projects, and happy coding, everyone. Take care.